I should have stayed home. That's all Laura could think as she limped down the wet sidewalk toward the glass tower. Her hands were still shaking. The left side of her face throbbed with every heartbeat. Her ribs screamed with every breath. 3 men. 1 alley. $60 and her phone gone. She'd been on the ground less than an hour ago, tasting pavement and blood, listening to them laugh as they kicked her. And now she was going to work because she couldn't afford to miss a shift. The city didn't care that she'd been robbed. The building didn't care that she was hurt. Bills didn't stop coming because you had a bad night. Laura had learned that lesson young. You showed up or you got replaced. There were 1,000 other women just like her, desperate enough to scrub floors at midnight for cash under the table. The Brosnan building rose ahead of her like a blade of ice cutting into the sky. 40 stories of glass and steel and money. Brosnan Holdings. Legitimate on paper. Everyone in the city knew better. She made her way around back to the service entrance, past the dumpsters, past the loading dock where delivery trucks came before dawn. This was her world. The back doors. The service elevators. The parts of buildings that rich people never saw. Her reflection caught in the metal door as she reached for it. She looked like someone else. Someone broken. Purple bruise spreading across her cheekbone. Bottom lip split down the middle, still bleeding a little. Her left eye already swelling shut. Laura pushed through the door. Inside, the fluorescent lights made everything worse. The brightness hurt. Everything hurt. Maria was filling her bucket at the utility sink. She looked up, saw Laura, and dropped the bottle of floor cleaner. Dios mío. Laura. What happened to you? I'm fine. You're not fine. Look at your face. Maria rushed over. Her hands hovering like she wanted to touch but was afraid to hurt her. Who did this? Just some guys. They wanted money. Did you call the police? Laura almost laughed. The police didn't come to her neighborhood unless someone was already dead. And even then they took their time. They took my phone, she said instead. You need a hospital. I need this job. Laura, please. Maria, I'm fine. Really. I just need to work. She wasn't fine. Her whole body felt like one giant bruise. When she breathed too deep, something sharp dug into her left side where the boot had landed. Probably a cracked rib. But the emergency room cost money she didn't have. And if she missed her shift, she'd lose this job. Then she'd lose her apartment. Then her mother would have no one to pay for her medication. It was a house of cards and Laura couldn't let one piece fall. Maria's face softened with pity. Laura hated that look. She'd seen it her whole life. Poor Laura. Struggling Laura. Victim Laura. Let me at least get you some ice, Maria said quietly. I'll be okay. Which floors tonight? Maria sighed, recognizing a losing battle. I've got lobby through 5. You have 6 through 10. In the executive floor. Course. Laura filled her bucket with hot water and pine cleaner. The familiar chemical smell burned her split lip, but she ignored it. She'd ignored worse. The mop. The rags. The spray bottles. All of it went onto her cart. The same routine she'd done 6 nights a week for 9 months. Muscle memory took over when thinking hurt too much. She pushed the cart toward the service elevator and caught Maria watching her with worried eyes. I'm okay, Laura said again. She wasn't sure who she was trying to convince. The elevator ride up felt longer than usual. Laura leaned against the wall, letting it hold her weight. The fluorescent light above her flickered. She looked at herself in the scratched metal panel. 28 years old, and this is where she'd ended up. Beaten. Broke. Cleaning floors in the middle of the night for a man who probably didn't know her name. Except that wasn't quite true, was it? James Brosnan had looked at her before. She'd felt his eyes on her sometimes when she worked. Those brief moments when he'd walk past and she'd keep her head down, her heart hammering, hyper-aware of his presence. He was dangerous. Everyone knew it. The kind of dangerous that wore expensive suits and smiled at city officials while bodies disappeared into the river. Laura had perfected the art of being invisible around him. He's down. Quiet. Rest. Don't draw attention. Don't give him a reason to notice you. The elevator dinged. 10th floor. She pushed her cart out into the marble hallway. This floor always felt different. Quieter. The kind of quiet that came with money and power. Even the air felt expensive. The hall stretched ahead of her. Polished marble reflecting the city lights from the floor to ceiling windows. Normally she loved this floor. Late at night when no one was here, she could pretend for a moment that she belonged in a place this beautiful. But tonight the corner office light was on. Laura stopped, her hands tightening on the cart handle. James Brosnan was still here. Her stomach dropped. He was never here this late. She had the floor to herself at midnight. That was the whole point of the night shift. Clean when the important people were gone. She should go back downstairs. Start with a different floor. Come back up later when he'd left. But Maria would ask questions. And Laura was so tired. She just wanted to finish and go home and sleep until her body stopped screaming. Maybe he'd stay in his office. Maybe she could be quiet enough, invisible enough, that he wouldn't notice her. She started at the far end of the hall, keeping her back to that spill of light from the corner office. Her ribs protested as she wrung out the mop. The hot water felt good on her scraped hands. Back and forth across marble that cost more per square foot than she made in a month. Her breathing fell into rhythm with the work. This she could do. This was familiar. Cleaning made sense when nothing else did. She made it halfway down the hall before she heard his door open. Laura froze. Maybe he was just going to the bathroom. Maybe he wouldn't even look her way. Footsteps behind her. Expensive shoes on marble. Coming closer. You're late tonight. His voice. Deep and smooth and too close. Laura's heart slammed against her bruised ribs. She kept her face turned away, hair falling forward like a curtain. Sorry, Mr. Brosnan. I'll be quick and out of your way. The footsteps stopped right behind her. She could feel him there. Touching. Look at me. I really need to finish this floor, sir. Laura. Something in how he said her name made her chest tight. Look at me. He knew her name. In 9 months of cleaning his floors, she didn't think he'd ever spoken directly to her. And he knew her name. She kept her head down, hair hiding the damage. Maybe in the dim hallway he wouldn't see clearly. Please don't make me ask again. It wasn't a threat exactly. But men like James Brosnan didn't make requests. They gave orders and expected obedience. Laura turned slowly, still keeping her eyes on the floor. On his shoes. Black leather, perfectly polished. Look. Me. She lifted her head. The change in his face was immediate and terrible. His expression went from neutral to something she couldn't name. Something cold and deadly. His dark eyes locked on her black eye. Traveled to her swollen, split lip. Down to where she held her left arm tight against her ribs. The silence stretched. Laura wanted to run. Wanted to disappear. Wanted to rewind the last hour and choose a different route home, a different life, a different everything. Who did this to you? Not a question. A command delivered in a voice so quiet it was worse than shouting. It's nothing, Mr. Brosnan. Really? Just some guys who wanted money. Where? I'm fine. I just need to finish. He stepped closer. Laura's instinct screamed to back away, but she forced herself to stay still. Running from predators only triggered the chase. Where did this happen? Each word careful and controlled. When? She should lie. Should make up something vague and far away. But exhaustion and pain had worn down her defenses. 7th and Merino Street. The alley behind the old factory. About an hour ago. The words tumbled out. 3 men. I didn't see their faces clearly. They just wanted my bag. That's all. They took it and left. They took your bag. Yes. And gave you a black eye. And split your lip. And kicked you hard enough that you can barely breathe. His voice stayed quiet, but something underneath it vibrated with barely contained rage. But they just wanted your bag. Laura said nothing. What was there to say? James stared at her. Really looked at her. And Laura saw something flicker across his face that made no sense. Concern. Anger. Something almost like pain. Then he pulled out his phone and stepped back, already dialing. Go home. Mr. Brosnan, I need to work. You need a hospital. I need this job. Please. I'll be quick. You won't even know I'm here. He looked at her again, and his expression softened in a way that didn't fit his reputation at all. You'll be paid for the full shift. Amir will drive you home. I can take the bus. The buses aren't running this late on the North Line. And you're not walking. He was already turning away, phone to his ear. Amir will drive you. That's not a request. Mr. Brosnan, please, I don't need charity. He stopped. Looked back at her over his shoulder. It's not charity, Laura. It's the bare minimum of human decency. Let me do this one small thing. Before she could respond, he was speaking rapid Italian into the phone. Too fast and quiet for her to catch the words. But his tone was sharp, commanding. Laura stood there holding her mop, trying to understand what was happening. James Brosnan didn't notice the cleaning staff. He definitely didn't send his driver to take them home. Unless the rumors were true and he was exactly as dangerous as people said. Maybe she'd just become a witness to something. Maybe this kindness was something else entirely. A different man appeared 2 minutes later. Tall, broad shoulders, the kind of face that had seen violence and hadn't blinked. He looked at Laura with an expression she couldn't read. Miss Cruz. I'm Amir. I'll take you home. I can get home myself. Mr. Brosnan insists. There was no arguing with that tone. Laura set down her mop, her hands still trembling. As Amir led her toward the elevator, she glanced back. James stood in the hallway watching her, phone still in his hand, his expression unreadable. Their eyes met for just a second, and in that second, Laura saw something that made her forget how to breathe. Rage. Pure, cold, calculated rage. But not at her. For her. The elevator doors closed. Laura didn't know that James had been watching her for months. Didn't know he'd memorized the way she hummed old songs while she worked. Didn't know he'd noticed how she always packed half her dinner to take home. How she smiled at Maria even when she was exhausted. How she'd slipped a $20 bill to the homeless man outside the building last week, even though she clearly couldn't afford it. She didn't know that seeing her beaten and bloodied had cracked something open inside him that he'd kept locked away for years. Something he'd thought was dead. All Laura knew was that Amir drove in complete silence, and when he pulled up to her apartment building, he handed her a card with a phone number. You need anything, you call that number. I don't understand. You will. She got out of the car and watched him drive away. Inside her apartment, Laura finally let herself feel it. The fear, pain, the confusion. She didn't know that across the city, James was making phone calls that would wake up every contact, every informant, every person who owed him a favor. She didn't know that 3 men were about to learn the most expensive mistake of their lives was stealing $60 from a woman who'd become the one soft thing in a violent man's world. She didn't know that by sunrise, those men would be gone, vanished, as if they'd never existed. All Laura knew was that her body hurt, her life was a mess, and somehow James Brosnan knew her name. She fell asleep wondering which of those things frightened her most. Laura didn't go to work the next night. She told herself it was because of her ribs. 'Cause walking hurt. Because her face looked worse in daylight, the bruise spreading from purple to deep blue. But really it was because she was afraid. Not of the men who'd attacked her. They were random. She'd probably never see them again. She was afraid of James Brosnan. Afraid of the way he'd looked at her. The way he'd said her name. The quiet rage in his voice when he'd asked where it happened. Men like him didn't care about women like her. Not unless they wanted something. Laura spent the day sleeping badly and staring at the ceiling of her tiny apartment. The card Amir had given her sat on her nightstand. Just a phone number. No name. She should throw it away. She put it in her wallet instead. By the second night, she couldn't afford to stay home anymore. The rent was due in a week. Her mother's medication needed refilling. Pride didn't pay bills. Maria hugged her carefully when she came in. I didn't think you'd be back so soon. I'm fine. You're not fine. But you're here. Maria handed her the mop. 10 is already done. Laura blinked. What? The 10th floor. Mr. Brosnan had it cleaned by the day crew. You're on 6 through 9 tonight. Why would he do that? Maria gave her a look. You really don't know. Know what? But Maria just shook her head. Be careful, Laura. Men like that, when they notice you, it's not always a good thing. Laura took the elevator to 6 and tried not to think about it. Tried not to wonder why James Brosnan had rearranged the cleaning schedule. Tried not to feel disappointed that she wouldn't see him tonight. She was finishing the 8th floor when her phone buzzed. Except her phone was gone. Stolen. The buzz came from her jacket pocket. Laura reached in and pulled out a phone she'd never seen before. Brand new. Expensive. One text message from an unknown number. You need a phone. This one is yours. The number is programmed in if you need anything. No name. But she knew. Laura stared at it for a long time. She should give it back. Should march up to 10 right now and tell him she didn't need his charity. But she did need a phone. Desperately. She'd been planning to buy a cheap prepaid when she got paid, but that was a week away. Her mother's nurse had no way to reach her. The landlord couldn't call about the broken heater. It was practical. That's all. Just practical. She typed back. Thank you. 3 dots appeared immediately. Like he'd been waiting. How are you feeling? Laura's fingers hovered over the screen. How was she feeling? Confused. Scared. Like her entire life had tilted sideways and she didn't know which way was up anymore. Better, she typed instead. You're working tonight. Not a question. He knew. Course he knew. Yes. You should be resting. I need to work. A longer pause this time. Then. I understand. That was it. No more messages. Laura slipped the phone back in her pocket and tried to focus on mopping. But her mind kept drifting to the man 1 floor above her. Wondering if he was up there right now. Wondering what he wanted from her. Wondering why part of her hoped he was. The next 3 nights followed the same pattern. Laura cleaned floors 6 through 9. The 10th floor was always already done. And every night around 1 a.m., her phone would buzz with a single message. How are you feeling? Better. Are you eating enough? Yes. The bruise is fading. That one made her stop. Made her realize he'd seen her. Watched her. Maybe on the security cameras. Maybe in person somewhere she hadn't noticed. She should have felt violated. Thought. Instead she felt seen. On the 5th night everything changed. Laura was cleaning the 7th floor when the elevator dinged behind her. She didn't turn around. Just kept mopping. Probably just Maria coming to borrow glass cleaner. You're favoring your left side. She spun around. James Brosnan stood by the elevator, hands in his pockets, watching her with those dark, unreadable eyes. Mr. Brosnan. I thought you'd gone home. I wanted to see you. The honesty of it shocked her into silence. He stepped closer. Laura's grip tightened on the mop handle. Your ribs, he said. You're still hurt. They're healing. You should see a doctor. I'm fine. Laura. He said her name like it meant something. Let me help. You already gave me a phone. That was too much. It was nothing. It wasn't nothing to me. Something flickered in his expression. He moved closer, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to look at him. He was tall, broad, the kind of presence that filled a room. But he was careful, kept his hands in his pockets, kept his voice soft. The men who hurt you, he said quietly. They won't hurt anyone else. Laura's blood went cold. What does that mean? It means you're safe. What did you do? What needed to be done? Mr. Brosnan. Her voice shook. What did you do? He looked at her for a long moment. And then he did something she didn't expect. He told her the truth. I found them. All 3. It took me 6 hours and every contact I have in this city. But I found them. And I made sure they understood the cost of what they'd done. Laura's stomach turned. Did you kill them? No. Did you hurt them? Yes. The simple honesty of it was somehow worse than a lie would have been. Laura took a step back. Then another. You can't just do that. You can't just hurt people because they hurt me. Yes, I can. That's not how the world works. That's exactly how my world works. His voice stayed calm, reasonable, like he was explaining something obvious. They put their hands on you. They made you bleed. There are consequences for that. I'm no one. I'm just a cleaner. His expression changed, hardened. You're not no one. Don't ever say that again. You don't even know me. I know you hum when you think no one is listening. I know you save half your dinner for your mother. I know you gave $20 to the homeless man outside even though you work 2 jobs to survive. I know you're kind in a world that's given you every reason not to be. He paused. I know enough. Laura's heart hammered against her bruised ribs. This was insane. This whole conversation was insane. Why? She whispered. Why do you care? James looked at her like she'd asked him to explain gravity. Because I do. I can't seem to stop. That's not a reason. It's the only reason I have. They stared at each other. The space between them felt electric and terrifying. I should finish working, Laura said finally. You should go home. Rest. I can't afford to rest. Something passed over his face. Understanding. And something else. Determination. What if you didn't have to work here anymore? What? What if I offered you a different job? Better pay. Better hours. Doing what? Whatever you want. Have a dozen businesses. All of them need good people. Laura laughed. Came out bitter. You mean you want to buy me? No. I mean I want to help you. Why? I told you why. That's not enough. Men like you don't just help women like me unless they want something. His jaw tightened. I'm not other men. You're exactly other men. You're worse. At least they're honest about what they want. She expected anger. Expected him to snap. To show her the monster everyone whispered about. Instead he just looked tired. You're right, he said quietly. I do want something. There it is. I want you safe. I want you healthy. I want you to stop working yourself to death for pennies. He met her eyes. I want to see you smile the way you smile at Maria when you think no one important is watching. That's not how this works. How what works? This. Me. We're not the same kind of people. I know. Then you know this is crazy. Yes. Then why are you doing this? James stepped closer. Close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. Close enough to feel the heat coming off him. Because for the first time in 10 years, I feel something other than anger. And it's because of you. Laura couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I have to go, she whispered. He stepped back immediately, giving her space. I'll have Amir bring the car around. I can take the bus. Laura, please, let me do this one thing. Let me know you got home safe. She should say no. Should establish boundaries. Should run as far from this man and his dangerous attention as she could get. Okay, she heard herself say instead. James's expression softened. He pulled out his phone, sent a quick text. 2 minutes. They stood in awkward silence. Laura gripped her mop like a lifeline. The phone, she said finally. And the rides. And whatever you did to those men. It's too much. It's not enough. I can't owe you. You don't owe me anything. That's not what this is. Then what is it? He looked at her with something raw and honest in his eyes. I don't know yet. But I'd like to find out. If you'll let me. Her phone buzzed. Amir downstairs. Laura abandoned her mop and cart. Walked to the elevator on shaking legs. James followed at a careful distance. As the doors started to close, he stopped them with one hand. Laura. Yes. Those men. I need you to know. I didn't do it to scare you. I did it because the thought of someone hurting you made me someone I didn't recognize. He paused. I'm not asking you to understand. I just need you to know it's true. The doors closed before she could respond. Amir drove her home in silence again. But this time when she got out he spoke. He's not what you think. Laura turned back. What is he then? A man trying very hard not to be his father. What does that mean? But Amir just shook his head and drove away. Inside her apartment, Laura looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. The bruise had faded to yellow-green. The split in her lip had mostly healed. In a few more days, there'd be no evidence any of it had happened, except for the phone in her pocket, and the flutter in her chest when she thought about dark eyes and careful distance, and a voice saying her name like it mattered. Laura didn't know that 3 floors below, in a black car across the street, James sat watching her window, making sure she got inside safe. Like he'd done every night since the attack. She didn't know that his entire organization was whispering about the boss's new obsession. That his second-in-command had warned him he was being reckless. That rivals were starting to notice his distraction. She didn't know that he didn't care. All Laura knew was that she was terrified and confused, and for the first time in years, she felt something other than tired. She felt alive. And that scared her more than anything else. Laura stopped taking the bus to work. Not because James demanded it. He never demanded anything from her. But Amir started showing up at her apartment every evening at 11:15. Just sitting there in the black car. Waiting. The first night she tried to walk past him to the bus stop. He'd rolled down the window. It's cold tonight, Miss Cruz. I'm fine. Mr. Brosnan worries. Mr. Brosnan doesn't need to worry about me. And yet he does. Laura had stood there on the sidewalk, torn between pride and practicality. It was cold. The bus was late half the time. And Amir was already here. She got in the car. Became routine. Amir drove her to work. Drove her home. Never asked questions. Never made conversation beyond basic pleasantries. But Laura noticed things. The way his eyes constantly scanned the streets. The way he always parked where he could see all exits. The gun she'd glimpsed once under his jacket when he reached for her door. These weren't just rides. This was protection. The realization should have frightened her. Instead, it made her curious. What exactly was James Brosnan protecting her from? She got her answer 2 weeks after the attack. Laura was visiting her mother at the care facility across town. It wasn't much. Just a converted house with round-the-clock nurses for patients who needed supervision but not full hospital care. Her mother had early-onset dementia. Some days she knew Laura. Some days she didn't. Today was a good day. Mija. Her mother smiled when Laura walked in. You brought flowers. Daisies. Your favorite. They sat in the small garden out back, her mother talking about memories that may or may not have happened. Laura just listened. These good days were rare. She treasured them. She didn't notice the man watching from the street. Didn't notice him take photos of her and her mother together. Didn't notice him make a phone call and then drive away. But someone else noticed. Amir called James the second he spotted the tail. We have a problem. James looked up from the contracts he'd been pretending to read for the last hour. Really, he'd been watching the security feed of the 10th floor, waiting to see if Laura would show up early. He had a problem all right. And it wasn't whatever Amir was about to say. Talk. Someone's watching the girl. Professional. He followed her to the care facility on Maple. Every muscle in James's body went rigid. Who? Don't know yet. But he's taking pictures. Making calls. Where is she now? Still inside with her mother. I've got eyes on the building. He left 10 minutes ago, but he got what he needed. James was already standing, already grabbing his jacket. Pick her up. Don't let her out of your sight. Boss, if we move too obviously, we show our hand. I don't care. Get her somewhere safe. Now. He hung up and made another call. This one to his second-in-command, a man named Luca who'd been with him since the beginning. We've got attention on the girl. Luca sighed. I told you this would happen. You've been too visible with her. People notice when you change patterns. Find out who's asking questions. James, maybe it's time to step back. Let this go before it becomes a war. It's already too late for that. Why? Because you have feelings for some cleaner. This is exactly how your father lost control. He let a woman make him weak. James's hand tightened on the phone. Don't compare me to him. Then stop acting like him. You're putting her in danger. You're putting all of us in danger. For what? So you can feel human again. The words hit harder than they should have. 'Cause Luca was right. James had spent 10 years building walls. 10 years being ruthless and controlled and untouchable. 10 years proving he was nothing like his father, who'd burned his entire empire to the ground over a woman who betrayed him. And now here he was, risking everything for a woman who cleaned his floors and looked at him like she couldn't decide if he was a man or a monster. Find out who's watching her, James said quietly. And Luca. If anything happens to Laura, there won't be enough of this city left to fight over. He hung up before Luca could respond. Across town, Laura was saying goodbye to her mother when Amir appeared in the doorway of the care facility. Miss Cruz, we need to go. Something in his tone made her stomach drop. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. But Mr. Brosnan wants to see you. I have work in 2 hours. This can't wait. Laura looked back at her mother, who'd already forgotten she was there, staring out at the garden with distant eyes. Okay, she said quietly. The drive took 30 minutes. Amir drove fast, taking turns that made no sense, doubling back twice. Laura watched the city blur past. Are we being followed? Amir's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. Not anymore. Not anymore. We were being followed. It's handled. Amir. What's going on? Mr. Brosnan will explain. They pulled up to a building Laura had never seen before. Smaller than the main Brosnan Tower. Older. Amir led her through a private entrance to an elevator that required a keycard. The doors opened directly into an apartment. Not an apartment. Penthouse. All dark wood and leather and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. James stood by those windows, phone to his ear, speaking rapid Italian. He turned when he heard the elevator, his eyes finding Laura immediately. He said something sharp into the phone and hung up. Are you okay? I'm fine. Amir said you needed to see me. I did. I do. He crossed to her, stopping just close enough to be intense but far enough to give her space. Always so careful with space. We have a situation. What kind of situation? Someone is asking questions about you. Taking pictures. Laura's blood went cold. Who? I don't know yet. But they followed you to see your mother today. Her mother. Laura's hands started shaking. If you brought this to my mother, if your world touches her. It won't. I have people watching her now. She's safe. You have people watching my mother. I have people watching everyone you care about. Your landlord. Your coworker Maria. The nurse who takes care of your mother. He paused. I've had them in place since the night you were attacked. Laura stared at him. You've been watching me for 2 weeks. I've been keeping you safe for 2 weeks. That's not your job. I made it my job. You had no right. You're right. I didn't ask permission. I saw a threat and I eliminated it. I'm not some possession you can just protect. I know that. Then why are you doing this? James looked at her with something raw in his eyes. Because the alternative is unacceptable. What alternative? Anything happening to you. The honesty of it stole her breath. Laura turned away, trying to process. Trying to think through the fear and confusion, and the part of her that felt safer knowing he was watching. Who would want to hurt me? She asked finally. I'm nobody. I have nothing. You have me. He turned back. I don't have you. We barely know each other. That doesn't seem to matter. Someone noticed I care about you. And now they'll try to use that. This is insane. This is my life. And I'm sorry, Laura, but you're part of it now whether we want that or not. I didn't ask for this. I know. But those men put their hands on you and I responded the way I know how. And that response told people you matter to me. He moved closer. I can't undo that. I can only keep you safe. By locking me in a penthouse. By asking you to trust me. Just for a few days. Until I know who's asking questions and what they want. And if I say no. Pain flickered across his face. Then I'll have Amir take you home. And I'll protect you from a distance. But I'm not going to stop protecting you. I can't. Laura's mind raced. This was crazy. All of it. He should run. Should get as far from James Brosnan and his dangerous world as possible. But someone was taking pictures of her mother. Someone was watching. And the only person offering to stand between her and whatever was coming was the man in front of her. The man who'd found her attackers in 6 hours. The man who sent his driver every night to make sure she got home safe. The man who looked at her like she was something precious in a world of violence. A few days, she said quietly. Relief washed over his face. A few days. And you tell me everything. No more secrets. No more watching without asking. Agreed. And my mother stays safe. I give you my word. Laura looked around the apartment. At the expensive furniture and the view and the life so far removed from hers, it might as well be a different planet. I don't belong here. Neither do I, James said softly. But here we are. Her phone rang. The one he'd given her. She pulled it out, saw an unknown number. Don't answer that, James said sharply. But she'd already hit accept. Laura Cruz. A man's voice. Smooth. Friendly. Who is this? A friend. I wanted to warn you about the man you're with. Her eyes snapped to James. His expression had gone cold. I don't know what you're talking about. James Brosnan. You're with him right now, aren't you? In his apartment on the river. Very cozy. Laura's heart hammered. What do you want? Just to help you understand who you're trusting. Did he tell you how many people he's killed? Did he tell you about the families he's destroyed? I'm hanging up. Your mother. Rosa Cruz. St. Catherine's Care Home. Room 12. She looks peaceful when she sleeps. Everything stopped. If you touch her, Laura's voice shook with rage. I'll kill you myself. The man laughed. There it is. You're tougher than you look. I can see why he likes you. Tell James that Salvatore sends his regards. And tell him I'm willing to trade you for the waterfront territory. He has 24 hours to decide what matters more. The line went dead. Laura looked at James. His face had gone pale. Salvatore, she whispered. My cousin, he said quietly. We've been at war for territory for 3 years. He's losing. Desperate. His jaw clenched. And now he knows about you. He wants to trade me for territory. He's not getting either. James. He knows where my mother is. I'm moving her. Right now. To a private facility with security. He was already on the phone barking orders. Laura sank onto the leather couch. This was real. This was actually happening. Men with guns and territories and wars. And somehow she'd landed in the middle of it. When James finished his call, he sat beside her. Not touching but close. I'm sorry, he said. I brought this to you. I thought I was being careful, but I wasn't careful enough. He threatened my mother. She'll be safe. Promise you. I'm moving her to a facility I own. Private. Armed guards. Salvatore won't get within a mile of her. And me. You stay here. With me. Where I can protect you. Laura laughed bitterly. This is protection. People taking pictures of me. Threatening my mother. This is what your protection looks like. Yes. His voice was hard. Because the alternative is you dead in an alley and your mother left alone with no one to pay for her care. At least this way you're alive. At least this way I can fight for you. I didn't ask you to fight for me. You didn't have to. They sat in heavy silence. Outside the windows, the city glittered. Beautiful and dangerous. 24 hours, Laura said. That's what he gave you. I'm not giving him anything. Not you. Not territory. Nothing. Then what are you going to do? James looked at her with eyes that had gone cold and calculated. This was the man people whispered about. The one who made enemies disappear. I'm going to remind my cousin why no one takes what's mine and lives to bargain with it. The way he said mine made something flutter in Laura's chest. Fear and something else. Something she didn't want to examine too closely. I should call work, she said instead. Tell them I won't be in. Already done. You can't just run my life. I'm trying to save it. By making decisions for me. By doing what needs to be done. Laura stood, paced to the windows, looked out at the city that had always felt too big, too indifferent. Now it felt like a battlefield. I hate this, she whispered. I know. I hate that you were right. That I'm part of your world now. I hate it too. He turned. Do you? Because you don't seem surprised. You seem like this is exactly what you expected. James stood slowly. I hoped I was wrong. That maybe I could care about you quietly. From a distance. That maybe for once I could have something good without it turning to violence. He moved closer. But I'm my father's son. And everything I touch turns to blood eventually. Then let me go. I can't. Why? Because you're the first thing in 10 years that's made me want to be better. And I'm selfish enough to hold on to that even if it costs you everything. The confession hung between them. Honest and brutal. Laura should have been angry. Should have demanded he take her home, stay away, leave her alone. Instead she asked the question that had been burning in her chest for 2 weeks. What do you want from me, James? Really? He looked at her like she'd asked him to explain the color of the sky. Everything, he said simply. I want everything. Before she could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at it, and his expression changed. What? Laura asked. Your mother's facility. There's been an incident. Her world tilted. What kind of incident? A fire alarm. Probably nothing. But I'm not taking chances. He was already moving, grabbing his jacket. Stay here. Amir will stay with you. I'm coming with you. Laura. That's my mother. I'm coming. He looked like he wanted to argue, then nodded once. They took the private elevator down to the garage. James's car was black and fast and probably cost more than Laura would make in 5 years. He drove like a mere. Alert. Dangerous. If Salvatore touched her, Laura said quietly. If he hurt her to get to you. He didn't. He's not that stupid. You don't know that. I know my cousin. He wants leverage, not bodies. Bodies start a war he can't win. They pulled up to the care facility 15 minutes later. Fire trucks outside. People gathered on the lawn. Nurses in scrubs looking annoyed but not panicked. False alarm. Just like James said. But Laura ran inside anyway, pushing past the staff to her mother's room. Me. Where is she? Laura grabbed a nurse. Rosa Cruz. Room 12. Where is she? Miss Cruz, your mother was transferred this afternoon. To St. Mary's private care. The papers said you authorized it. Laura's knees went weak with relief. James had moved her. Before the fire alarm. Before anything could happen. She turned and found him standing in the doorway, watching her with careful eyes. You moved her before we even left your apartment. I told you I would. The fire alarm. Real. Faulty wiring in the kitchen. My people checked. He moved closer. But Salvatore knew you'd panic. Knew you'd come running. He wanted to see if you'd break. If I'd break. And now he knows we won't. Laura looked at this man who'd appended her entire life in 2 weeks. This man who scared her and protected her and looked at her like she was the answer to a question he'd been asking for years. Take me to my mother. Now. Now. I need to see her. Need to know she's really okay. James nodded. Of course. St. Mary's was across town. Private. Expensive. The kind of place Laura had always dreamed of being able to afford for her mother but never could. Her mother was asleep in a room 3 times the size of her old one. Medical equipment. Private bathroom. Windows overlooking a real garden. "How much is this costing?" Laura whispered. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Then consider it payment for all the floors you've cleaned. Back wages. James." He turned to her. "Let me do this. Please. Let me give you this one thing without it being a fight." Laura looked at her mother. Peaceful. In a place where she'd get real care. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." They stood there in the quiet room. And slowly, carefully, James reached out and took her hand. Laura didn't pull away. Outside, across the street, a man in a car watched them through the window, took one more picture, and made a call that would change everything. Laura woke up in a bed that wasn't hers. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then it all came rushing back. James's apartment. Her mother moved to safety. Salvatore's phone call. 24 hours to decide. He checked her phone. 6 a.m. She'd slept 3 hours on James's couch before he'd insisted she take the bedroom. He'd stayed up, she knew, making calls, planning whatever it was men like him planned when someone threatened what was theirs. She found him exactly where she'd left him, standing by the windows, phone in hand, looking out at the city as it woke up. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked. He turned. His shirt was wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes. But he smiled when he saw her. "A little. Coffee, please." He poured her a cup from the pot he'd already made. Black. He didn't know how she took it. There was something intimate about that small gap in his knowledge. 2 sugars, she said. "No cream." He filed that away. She could see it in his eyes. One more piece of her he'd collected. "What happens now?" Laura asked. "Now I end this before Salvatore makes another move." "How?" "It's better if you don't know the details." "No." She set down her cup. "You promised. No more secrets." James studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "I'm meeting with the other families tonight. Neutral ground. I'm going to force them to choose sides. And if they choose his side, they won't. Salvatore's been reckless, violent, bad for business. They want him gone as much as I do. They just needed an excuse. And I'm the excuse. You're the proof that he's crossed a line. Threatening civilians, families. There are rules, even in our world." Laura laughed bitterly. "Rules? You put 3 men in the hospital for stealing my purse. That was personal. This is politics. I don't see the difference. The difference is I'd burn this city down for you and call it personal. But tonight I'll let the city burn him and call it business." He moved closer. "You don't have to understand my world, Laura. You just have to trust that I know how to navigate it. And if something goes wrong, it won't. You can't promise that. Then I promise I'll come back to you. How's that?" Before she could answer, his phone rang. He glanced at it and his expression darkened. "What?" Laura asked. "Luca. He's supposed to be securing the meeting location." He answered. "Talk to me." Laura watched his face change. Watched the color drain. "When?" James said quietly. Dangerously. "How many?" "Was. I'm on my way." He hung up. "What happened?" "There was an attack. On one of my warehouses. 3 of my men are dead." Laura's hand flew to her mouth. "Salvatore. Has to be. He's escalating. Trying to force my hand before the meeting tonight. What are you going to do?" "What I have to." He grabbed his jacket. "Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone except Amir." "James, wait." He stopped. "Be careful," she whispered. Something softened in his eyes. He crossed back to her, cupped her face gently. His thumb traced her cheekbone where the bruise had finally faded. "I will. I promise." Then he was gone. Laura spent the day trapped in the apartment. Amir stationed outside. The city spread below her like a game board she didn't understand the rules to. She tried to distract herself. Watched television. Tried to read. Called the facility to check on her mother. But her mind kept drifting to James. To men with guns. To warehouses and bodies and a world where violence was currency. Her phone rang at 2 p.m. Unknown number. She should ignore it. Should let it go to voicemail. She answered. "Hello, Laura." Salvatore's voice. Smooth as silk. "How did you get this number? I have eyes everywhere, sweetheart. Even in my cousin's organization." Her blood went cold. "What do you want?" "To help you. Believe it or not." "Help me." "James didn't tell you, did he? About the men he killed." "Not injured. Killed. Those 3 who attacked you. They're at the bottom of the river." Laura's stomach turned. "You're lying." "Am I?" "Ask him. Ask him what really happened that night. Ask him if he just hurt them or if he made them disappear. Even if that's true, they attacked me. And you think that justifies murder? You think that makes him a good man?" Salvatore laughed. "You're more naive than I thought. Get to the point." "The point is my cousin is obsessed with you. An obsession makes men stupid. He's going to get himself killed trying to protect you. Is that what you want? He seems to think you're the one who's going to get killed. Maybe we both will. Maybe this war will burn us both down and you'll be left with nothing but blood on your hands. Or you could walk away. Right now. I'll give you money. New identity. You and your mother disappear and this all ends. You want me to run. I want you to survive. Because when the dust settles, one of us will be dead. And the other will own you completely. Is that really what you want? To be owned?" Laura's hand shook. "I don't believe you. Any of this." "Then stay. See what happens. But don't say I didn't warn you when you're standing over his grave." The line went dead. Laura sat there, phone in hand, mind racing. James had said he hurt those men. Not killed. But what if Salvatore was telling the truth? What if she'd already fallen for a murderer? The apartment door opened. Laura jumped. Amir stepped in, but he wasn't alone. A woman followed. Tall, beautiful, expensive clothes. "Who are you?" Laura demanded. "Isabella Brosnan," the woman said. "James's sister." Laura blinked. "He never mentioned a sister." "He wouldn't. We're not exactly close." Isabella looked around the apartment with barely concealed disdain. "So you're the cleaner he's losing his mind over. I should call James. He's busy. I came to talk to you." Isabella sat without being invited. "Do you love him?" "I barely know him." "That's not what I asked." Laura's defenses went up. "Why does it matter?" "Because if you don't love him, you need to leave. Before this gets worse." Salvatore already made that offer. "I'm not Salvatore. I'm someone who's watched my brother destroy himself trying to be different from our father. And you know what I've learned? We're all our parents' children in the end. James thinks he can love you and keep you safe. He's wrong. You don't know that. I watched our father do the same thing. Fall in love. Make promises. And when the woman he loved was killed because of who he was, he burned everything. Killed rivals. Killed allies. Killed anyone who might have known. And in the end, he put a gun in his mouth because he couldn't live with what he'd become." Isabella leaned forward. "That's James's future if you stay. That's what love does to men like us." Laura felt sick. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I don't want to watch my brother die. And that's exactly what will happen. Salvatore will kill you to hurt him. And James will destroy himself getting revenge. It's already starting. Those men at the warehouse today. James didn't just kill them in self-defense. He tortured them first. For information, he says. But I saw his face after. He liked it. You're lying. Ask him yourself when he gets back. If he comes back." Isabella stood. "I'm giving you the same choice Salvatore did. Leave. I'll give you money. 50. Clean start. Or stay and watch my brother become our father? He said he's nothing like your father. He also said he'd keep you safe. How's that working out? Isabella dropped a card on the table. My number. When you're ready to save him from himself, call me. Left. Laura sat in the silence, her world crumbling. 2 people in one day telling her to run. 2 people saying James was dangerous. That this couldn't end well. And underneath it all, the question she didn't want to face. Did she believe them? Her phone buzzed. Text from James. Meetings in 3 hours. I'll be home soon. Miss you. Miss you. Like they were normal. Like he was just at work and not planning something that might get him killed. Laura looked at Isabella's card. Then at James's text. She had a choice to make. And only hours to make it. The door opened again. But this time it wasn't Isabella. 'Twas Amir. And his face was pale. We need to go. Now. What happened? The meeting location. Someone leaked it to the police. If James shows up, he walks into a raid. Then call him. Warn him. I can't reach him. His phone's off. He does that before meetings. Then go to him. I can't leave you unprotected. Laura grabbed her jacket. Then I'm coming with you. Miss Cruz. That's not a request, Amir. Take me to him or I'll find my own way there. Amir looked at her for a long moment. Then nodded. This is a mistake. Probably. Let's go anyway. They rushed to the elevator. And as the doors closed, Laura realized something. She'd made her choice. She wasn't running. Not yet. The warehouse district was dark when Amir pulled up 2 blocks away from the meeting location. Stay in the car, he ordered. Not happening. Miss Cruz, if something goes wrong, then you'll need all the help you can get. Amir looked like he wanted to argue but didn't have time. He got out. Laura followed. They moved through shadows between buildings. Laura's heart hammered. This was insane. She was walking into a Mafia meeting to warn a man she'd known 3 weeks that the police were coming. When had her life become this? Amir held up a hand. Up. Ahead, light spilled from a warehouse entrance. Cars parked outside. Men in suits standing guard. He's already inside, Amir whispered. We're too late. Then we go in. They'll shoot first and ask questions later. Laura stepped out of the shadows before she could change her mind. Walked straight toward the entrance. The guards spotted her immediately. Guns appeared. I need to see James Brosnan, she called out. Right now. Lady, you need to turn around. Tell him Laura is here. Tell him it's urgent. The guards looked at each other. One spoke into a radio. 30 seconds later, the warehouse door opened. James appeared. His face went from confusion to anger in a heartbeat. What are you doing here? The meeting is compromised. Someone tipped off the police. His expression changed. He turned, shouted something in Italian. Inside the warehouse, men started moving. Yes, too late. Sirens erupted from every direction. Lights flooded the street. Police cars blocked both exits. Nobody move. Hands where we can see them. Kiss. Men scattered. Some ran. Some reached for weapons. James grabbed Laura, pulled her behind him. Don't move. Don't say anything. Police swarmed. Laura found herself face down on concrete. Hands zip-tied behind her back. Beside her, James was doing the same. His face pressed to the ground but his eyes on her. I'm sorry, she whispered. This isn't your fault. But it was. She'd led Amir here. She'd walked right into the trap. They were separated. Put in different cars. Laura watched James through the window as they drove him away. He looked calm. Like being arrested was just another Tuesday. At the police station, Laura was processed. Fingerprinted. Photographed. Put in a holding cell with 3 other women who looked at her like she was diseased. She sat there for 2 hours before a detective came. Middle-aged. Tired eyes. He sat across from her in an interrogation room. Laura Cruz. You're not in our system. No priors. No connections to organized crime. He leaned forward. So tell me what a nice girl like you is doing at a Mafia meeting. I want a lawyer. Smart. But here's the thing. You're not under arrest. You're a witness. And right now, I'm trying to figure out if you're a victim or an accomplice. A victim of what? James Brosnan. We've been trying to build a case against him for 5 years. He's careful. Clean. But everyone talks eventually. He slid a folder across the table. Is this why you're with him? Because you're afraid. Laura opened the folder. Crime scene photos. 3 men. Beaten so badly they were barely recognizable. Her stomach turned. These are the men who attacked you 3 weeks ago, the detective said. We found them 2 days after you filed the police report. Hospital reported suspicious injuries. They're alive. Barely. And none of them are talking. Too scared. He pointed to the worst injuries. This kind of damage. This is personal. This is rage. Laura stared at the photos. Salvatore had said James killed them. Put them in the river. But he'd lied. They were alive. But barely. Did he do this because of you? The detective pressed. Because they hurt you. I don't know what you're talking about. Miss Cruz, I'm trying to help you. Men like James Brosnan, they're charming until they're not. They protect you until you become a liability. Is that what's happening? Are you afraid of him? Was she? I want a lawyer, she said again. The detective sighed. Closed the folder. You're free to go. For now. But Miss Cruz. Be careful who you trust. They released her at midnight. No charges. Just a warning and a business card. Amir was waiting outside. Where's James? Laura asked. Still inside. His lawyers are working on it. How long? Could be hours. Could be days. Amir opened the car door. Come on. I'll take you back. The apartment felt empty without James. Laura stood by the windows, looking out at the city, replaying everything. Photos. The detective's words. The way James had looked when she'd asked him what he'd done to those men. I hurt them. Not killed. But hurt like that. Hurt until they were unrecognizable. Her phone rang. James. You're out, she answered. For now. They don't have enough to hold me. His voice sounded strained. Are you okay? They showed me photos. Of those 3 men. Silence. James. I know what you saw. Did you do that to them? Yes. The honesty was almost worse than a lie. They're destroyed. Barely alive. I know. And you're not sorry. No. His voice hardened. They put their hands on you. They made you bleed. I promised myself no one would ever hurt you again and walk away from it. That's not justice. That's revenge. I never said it was justice. Laura's hand shook. I can't do this. Laura, listen to me. No. You listen. I came to warn you tonight because I thought maybe this could work. But I saw those photos and I realized something. You're exactly what everyone says you are. I never pretended to be anything else. Yes, you did. You pretended to be careful. You pretended there was a difference between personal and business. But it's all the same, isn't it? It's all violence. It's all protection. It's all control. Tears burned her eyes. Your sister was right. You're becoming your father. Don't. His voice went deadly quiet. Don't compare me to him. Then stop acting like him. I'm trying to keep you alive. By destroying everyone around me. By turning me into someone who needs protection from the monster who's protecting her. Is that what you think I am? A monster? Laura looked at her reflection in the window. At the woman she'd become in 3 weeks. Hiding in penthouses. Running from police. Defending a man who tortured people. I think you're dangerous, she whispered. And I think I was stupid to believe anything else. Laura, please. Me come home. Let me explain. Don't. Just don't come back tonight. I need to think. Think about what? About whether I'm brave enough to love you or smart enough to run. She hung up before he could respond. and sat in the darkness, wondering which choice would destroy her faster. Outside, across the street, a camera clicked. Someone was still watching, still waiting. But Laura was too tired to care anymore. She'd come to warn James and walked into a trap instead. She'd seen what his protection really meant. She'd heard the truth in his voice when he said he wasn't sorry. And the worst part of her understood. Part of her was glad those men suffered. What did that make her? The phone rang again. Not James this time. Isabella. Laura stared at it. Let it ring. Let it go to voicemail. But she didn't delete the message. And she didn't throw away the card. Laura didn't sleep that night. She sat by the window and watched the sun come up over a city that suddenly felt foreign. Hostile. James didn't come back. He'd listened. That should have made her feel better. Didn't. Her phone buzzed at 7 a.m. Isabella. I heard about last night. Are you ready to leave? Laura should have said yes. Should have packed her things and run. I need to see my mother first. I'll pick you up in an hour. Isabella arrived exactly on time. Expensive car. Designer clothes. The kind of put-together Laura would never be. They drove to St. Mary's in silence. Her mother was awake today. Lucid. She smiled when Laura walked in. Mija. You look tired. I am, Mama. Sit. Tell me what's wrong. How could she explain? How could she tell her mother she'd fallen for a man who hurt people? That she was living in his apartment, hiding from his enemies, watching his world swallow her whole? Just work, Mama. I'm figuring things out. Her mother took her hand. You've always been too careful, Laura. Always so afraid of making mistakes that you never let yourself really live. Being careful kept us alive. Being careful kept us small. Her mother squeezed her fingers. Sometimes the scariest thing is the right thing. You taught me that when you moved me here. This is different. Is it? Or are you just afraid again? Isabella appeared in the doorway. We should go. Laura kissed her mother's cheek. I love you. I love you too. And Laura, whatever you're afraid of, face it. You're stronger than you think. In the car, Isabella handed her an envelope. 20,000 cash. New social security card. Driver's license for a Sarah Mitchell in Phoenix. Job lined up at a hospital. Clean break. Laura stared at the envelope. Her whole escape neatly packaged. Why are you doing this? I told you. I don't want to watch my brother destroy himself. You really think he would? If something happened to me. Isabella's hands tightened on the wheel. Our father loved our mother more than anything. When she died in a car accident, accidental, no conspiracy, just bad luck. He spent 3 years convinced it was an assassination. Killed 17 people trying to find a conspiracy that didn't exist. And when he finally accepted the truth, that sometimes bad things just happen, he couldn't live with the emptiness. So he didn't. James is not your father. He's exactly our father. He just hides it better. Isabella pulled over. Looked at Laura directly. Last night you saw what he did to those men. That's him holding back. That's him controlled. Imagine what he becomes if someone actually kills you. Imagine the body count. Laura's stomach churned. So I'm supposed to leave to save him from himself? You're supposed to leave to save everyone. This whole city. Isabella pushed the envelope closer. Take it. Disappear. Give him a chance to move on before this becomes something no one survives. Laura picked up the envelope. Felt the weight of it. $20,000. New life. 50. Everything she'd wanted before James looked at her like she mattered. Can I think about it? You have until tonight. After that, the offer expires. Salvatore's getting desperate. If you're still here tomorrow, you're choosing the war. Isabella dropped her at the apartment. Amir was gone. A note on the counter in James's handwriting. Gave Amir the day off. Thought you might want space. I'm sorry for everything. D. Laura sat on the couch holding the envelope and the note. Upat. 2 futures. One where she ran and stayed safe and small and alone. One where she stayed and risked everything for a man who might destroy them both. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello, Miss Cruz. This is Detective Morrison. We spoke last night. I have nothing to say without a lawyer. I'm not calling about the case. I'm calling because I've been investigating James Brosnan for 5 years and I've learned some things. He's not what you think. Everyone keeps saying that. Those 3 men. The ones in the hospital. We got one to talk finally. Want to know what he said? Laura's heart raced. What? That they were hired. Paid $500 each to attack a specific woman. They were given your picture. Your route home. Everything. The world tilted. That's impossible. We traced the payment. Came from a shell company owned by Salvatore Brosnan. He set you up. Hired men to attack you. Knowing his cousin was watching you. Knowing exactly how James would react. Why would he do that? To prove James was becoming unstable. To turn the other families against him. And it worked. Until James showed restraint. Until he hurt them but didn't kill them. That's when Salvatore had to escalate. Laura couldn't breathe. You're saying this whole thing from the beginning was Salvatore? I'm saying you were bait. And James took it. But he took it carefully. Those men are alive because he chose not to kill them. That's restraint most men in his position don't have. Then why show me those photos? Why make it seem like James was the monster? Because I needed to see how you'd react. Needed to know if you were a victim or an accomplice. Morrison sighed. You're a victim, Miss Cruz. And if you stay with James Brosnan, Salvatore will keep using you until one of them is dead. Probably both. So I should run. I'm saying you should choose carefully. Because the only person who can end this cleanly is you. He hung up. Laura sat in the silence, pieces clicking together. The attack wasn't random. Salvatore orchestrated it. Used her. Used James's feelings against him. And everyone, Isabella, Salvatore, even the detective, wanted her to run. But no one had asked what she wanted. Laura looked at the envelope. Then at James's note. Her phone buzzed. Text from James. I know you need space. But I need you to know something. I'm ending this with Salvatore tomorrow. One way or another. After that, you're free to choose. Stay or go. I'll accept either. I just need you safe first. Love you. I should have said that sooner. Love you. 3 words that changed everything. Laura picked up her phone. Dialed. Isabella. I'm not taking the money. Laura, don't be stupid. I'm not running. Not from him. Not from this. If Salvatore wants a war, he should have picked someone without nothing to lose. You have everything to lose. No, I have everything to fight for. There's a difference. She hung up and waited for James to come home. James came home at midnight. Laura heard the elevator, heard his footsteps stop when he saw her sitting there waiting. You're still here. I'm still here. He crossed the room slowly like she might disappear. Sat beside her but didn't touch. I meant what I said. After tomorrow you can leave. I won't stop you. What happens tomorrow? I'm meeting Salvatore. Neutral ground. We're ending this. He'll kill you. Maybe. Or maybe I'll kill him. James finally looked at her. Either way, it's done. The detective called. Told me Salvatore hired those men to attack me. That it was all a setup. James's jaw clenched. I suspected. Couldn't prove it. You knew and didn't tell me. I didn't want you to feel like this was your fault. None of this is your fault. Laura turned to face him fully. I'm not running. Laura. I'm not running and you're not meeting him alone. You can't be there. Then teach me. You have 12 hours. Teach me how to survive your world. That's insane. Everything about this is insane. But I'm done being the helpless victim everyone uses against you. She grabbed his hand. Teach me. Something shifted in his expression. Pride. Fear. Oh, okay. They spent the night in the apartment's lower level. A shooting range Laura didn't know existed. James put a gun in her hand. Showed her how to hold it. How to aim. How to breathe. You probably won't need this. But if something goes wrong. I know. He fired. Fired again. By dawn she could hit the target. You're a natural, James said quietly. I'm terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. He pulled her close. But Laura, if anything happens, you run. You don't try to save me. You just run. I'm not promising that. Then promise me you'll survive. Whatever happens. Promise me that. She looked up at him. At this man who'd destroyed people for her. Who'd put his empire at risk. Who loved her enough to let her go. I promise if you promise. Deal. He kissed her then. Desperate and gentle. Like memorizing her. When they pulled apart, Laura's hands were shaking. I'm scared. Me too. They left at noon. Amir drove. Luca, James's second in command, followed in another car with 3 more men. The meeting place was an abandoned church on the edge of the city. Salvatore's choice. I don't like it, Luca muttered. Too many places to hide shooters. That's why Laura stays in the car, James said. But when they arrived, Salvatore was already there. And he wasn't alone. 6 men. All armed. James had 4. He's breaking the agreement, Amir said. 2 guards each. That was the deal. James's phone rang. Salvatore. Change of plans, cousin. You want this to end. Come inside. Alone. Or I start killing your men one by one. If I die in there, my people have orders. I'm counting on it. Makes this more interesting. The line went dead. James looked at Laura. I have to go in. Not alone. Laura. He wants you alone because he's going to kill you. You know that. She grabbed the gun he'd taught her to use. So you're not going alone. If you die because of me, then we die together. But we're not dying today. Luca stepped forward. She's right, boss. It's a trap either way. At least this way you have backup he won't expect. James stared at Laura. Then nodded. Stay behind me. Don't shoot unless I tell you. They walked into the church together. Salvatore waited at the altar, smiling. Cousin. And you brought your pet. How sweet. Let's get this over with, James said. Agreed. Here's my offer. You die quick. She lives. You get to go knowing she's safe. Generous. I'm not a monster. She's just a cleaner. Not her fault you went soft. Laura stepped forward before James could stop her. I know you hired those men. The detective told me. This whole thing was you. Salvatore's smile widened. Smart girl. You see, James. She's not as helpless as you think. She's also not bargaining material. Everyone's bargaining material. You just have to find the right price. Salvatore pulled out a phone. Showed them the screen. Video feed. Laura's mother. In her room at St. Mary's. Laura's blood went cold. I have a man there right now, Salvatore said. Say the word, she dies. Or James here takes a bullet, and everyone else walks away clean. James moved to shield Laura. You touch her mother, I'll kill everyone you've ever met. You'll be dead. You think I don't have contingencies? You think my people won't burn your entire bloodline if I die here? Maybe. But can you live with her mother's death? Salvatore looked at Laura. Can you, sweetheart? Knowing you could have saved her by walking away. Laura's mind raced. The gun heavy in her hand. 1 shot. That's all it would take. Salvatore wasn't even looking at her anymore. But if she shot him, his men outside would kill them all. And his man at the facility would kill her mother. Wait, Laura said. I'll do it. Leave. Let me say goodbye to him first. Salvatore laughed. How touching. Make it quick. Laura turned to James. Whispered in his ear while reaching for his phone. Trust me. He pulled back. Looked him in the eyes. And James somehow understood. He nodded. Laura turned to Salvatore. Call your man. Tell him to leave the facility. I want proof my mother's safe before I go. You don't make demands. Then shoot me. See what happens. Salvatore studied her. Then shrugged. Dialed. The second his man answered, Laura sent a text from James's phone. One word. Now. At St. Mary's, James's people moved. The man watching Laura's mother went down before he could react. Salvatore's phone buzzed. Text. His face changed. You bitch. Everything happened at once. Salvatore reached for his gun. James was faster. 2 shots. Enter mass. The church doors burst open. Salvatore's men rushing in. But Luca was ready. James's people had surrounded the building. Gunfire. Kiss. James pushed Laura behind the altar. It was over in 30 seconds. Salvatore's men down or surrendering. And Salvatore, bleeding on the floor, staring up at James with hate. You're just like your father. You'll destroy everything for her. No, James said quietly. I'm nothing like him. He destroyed everything because of love. I'm saving everything because of it. Salvatore died with a curse on his lips. James pulled Laura up. Are you hurt? No. You. I'm okay. He looked at her like seeing her for the first time. You saved us. That text. How did you know? I didn't. I just knew we needed a miracle. So I made one. He kissed her hard. Remind me never to underestimate you again. Police sirens in the distance. They had minutes. Time to go, Luca said. They ran. They didn't go back to the apartment. James drove them to a house Laura had never seen. Quiet. On the edge of the city where buildings gave way to trees. Safe house, he explained. No one knows about it except Luca. Inside, Laura finally let herself shake. Let herself feel it. The gunfire. The blood. Salvatore's eyes going empty. I watched someone die today. James pulled her close. I know. I'm sorry. Are you? Sorry he's dead. No. Sorry you had to see it. Laura pulled back. Looked at him. Is it always like this? Violence and running and almost dying. It was. Before you. He touched her face. Now I have a reason to want it different. Pretty words. But your cousin is dead. What happens when the next one comes? There won't be a next one. You don't know that. I do. Because I'm done. Laura blinked. What? I'm out. I'm handing the business to Luca. The legitimate parts anyway. The rest gets dismantled. Sold. Ended. You're lying. I'm not. I've been planning it since the night I saw your face beaten. I just needed to end Salvatore first. He took her hands. I meant what I said. I want different. I want better. I want you. And I can't have you and keep living like this. What will you do? I don't know yet. Something boring. Legal. He smiled. Maybe I'll invest in care facilities. Make sure places like the one your mother's in are actually good. Laura's eyes burned. You're serious. Completely. But Laura, I need you to understand something. Leaving doesn't erase what I've done. Doesn't make me clean. I've hurt people. Killed people. That doesn't go away. I know. And you're okay with that. She thought about it. Really thought about it. About the man who'd beaten her attackers nearly to death. Who'd killed his cousin an hour ago. Who'd built an empire on fear. And about the man who'd given her a phone because she needed one. Who'd moved her mother to safety. Who'd taught her to shoot so she could protect herself. Who looked at her like she was the only good thing in his world. I'm okay with who you're trying to be, she said finally. That's enough. He kissed her. Slow and deep and full of promise. I love you, he whispered against her lips. I love you too. They stayed in the safe house for 3 days while James's lawyers handled everything. Self-defense. Salvatore had fired first. Witnesses confirmed it. No charges. On the 4th day Luca came by. It's done. The family's accepted your retirement. Territory's been divided. Everyone's happy. He looked at Laura. You're either the luckiest woman alive or the craziest. I haven't decided which. Maybe both, she said. After Luca left, James handed Laura an envelope. What's this? Deed to your mother's care facility. Bought it. Put it in your name. James, that's too much. It's not enough. But it's a start. He pulled out another paper. And this is the deed to this house. Also yours. I can't accept this. Why not? Because I don't need you to buy me things. I just need you. I know. But let me do this anyway. Let me give you security. Please. Laura looked at the papers. The house. At the man who was giving up everything to build something new. Okay, she whispered. Okay. That night, they drove to St. Mary's together. Her mother was asleep, but Laura sat with her anyway. James waited in the hallway. I found someone, Mama, Laura whispered. He's complicated and dangerous and nothing like I ever imagined. But he makes me brave. And I think that's what love is supposed to do. Her mother's eyes opened. Lucid. Then hold on to him, Mija. Brave is good. In the hallway, James's phone rang. He answered. His face went white. Laura came out. What's wrong? Isabella. She's been shot. Salvatore's people. Retaliation. The ground dropped out. Is she alive? Barely. She's at Mercy Hospital. His hand shook. I did this. I killed Salvatore and they went after her. Then we go. Now. Iran. At the hospital, Isabella was in surgery. Touch and go. James paced like a caged animal. I retired to keep you safe. And they still found a way. They still hurt someone I love. This isn't your fault. It's exactly my fault. James, look at me. Laura grabbed his face. You can't control everything. You can't protect everyone from everything. You can only do your best and hope it's enough. And if it's not, if she dies, then we grieve. And we keep going. Together. He pulled her close. Held on like she was the only thing keeping him standing. 4 hours later the surgeon came out. She's stable. She'll recover. James's knees nearly gave out. When they finally let him see Isabella, she was pale but awake. You look terrible, brother. You got shot because of me. I got shot because Salvatore's people are idiots who don't understand you're out. She looked at Laura. You didn't take the money. No. Good. He needs someone stubborn. Isabella closed her eyes. I was wrong about you. About both of you. Maybe love doesn't have to destroy everything. Maybe not, James said quietly. Outside, dawn was breaking over the city. Laura stood beside James, watching the light spread. What happens now? She asked. Now we figure out how to be normal. We're never going to be normal. Okay. Then we figure out how to be us. Whatever that means. Laura leaned into him. I can live with that. Yeah. For the first time in weeks, the future felt possible. Messy and complicated and uncertain. But possible. And that was enough. 6 months later. Laura stood in the 10th floor hallway of the Brosnan building with a mop in her hand. Not because she had to. 'Cause she wanted to. You know you own half this building now, James said from his office doorway. You don't have to clean it. I like cleaning. It's meditative. She smiled. Besides, Maria missed me. He crossed to her. Kissed her forehead. You're strange. You love it. I do. Everything had changed. Everything and nothing. James had kept his word. He'd gotten out. Handed the organization to Luca, who ran it quieter, cleaner. The violence had stopped. The territories were stable. James now spent his days running legitimate businesses. Care facilities mostly. He'd bought 4 more after St. Mary's, improved them all, made them places he'd actually want his own family. Laura had gone back to school. Nursing. She worked part-time at St. Mary's, taking care of people like her mother. They lived in the safe house. Small and quiet and nothing like the penthouse. Perfect. But some things left scars. Laura still flinched at sirens, still checked over her shoulder, still woke up sometimes from dreams of gunfire and blood. James still kept a gun in the nightstand, still had Amir check the perimeter, still watched her like she might disappear. They were healing. But healing wasn't the same as healed. "Your mother's asking for you," James said. "I was just there. Good day." Laura's heart lifted. Good days were still rare, still precious. "I'll go now. Want company?" "Always." They drove to St. Mary's together. Her mother was in the garden, smiling at the flowers. "Mija." "And James." She patted the bench beside her. "Sit. Tell me about the wedding." Laura and James exchanged glances. "Mama, we're not engaged." "You should be." "What's he waiting for?" James laughed. "Permission, apparently." "You have it. Marry my daughter. Make it official." "Yes, ma'am." After the visit, they walked through the facility gardens. Laura noticed the new wing under construction. "What's that?" "Memory care unit. Specialized. I hired the best team in the state." James took her hand. "Your mother will have a room there when she needs it. The best care possible." Laura stopped walking. "You did this for her." "I did this for you." "James, let me give you this. Let me give you peace of mind about her future." Laura kissed him, soft and slow. "Thank you. Does this mean you'll marry me?" "Is that a proposal?" "Not a good one. Let me try again." He pulled a small box from his pocket. Got down on one knee right there in the garden. "Laura Cruz. You walked into my life cleaning floors and somehow cleaned out every dark corner of my soul. You made me want to be better. Made me believe I could be. I don't deserve you. I'll probably never deserve you. But I love you. And I'm asking if you'll let me spend the rest of my life trying to be the man you see when you look at me." Laura's eyes burned. "That was a pretty good one. So is that a yes?" "Yes. Obviously yes." He slid the ring on. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. They stayed in the garden until sunset, making plans. Small wedding. Just family and close friends. Nothing flashy. A life built on quiet moments instead of chaos. As they drove home, Laura's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Tense. James noticed. "It's okay. I've got you," she answered. "Hello, Miss Cruz. This is Detective Morrison. Just wanted to let you know the last of Salvatore's crew took a plea deal today. It's over. Really over." Laura exhaled. "Thank you for telling me. You two take care of each other." She hung up. "Morrison," James asked. "It's done. Everyone from Salvatore's side is gone or locked up. How do you feel?" "Free." She looked at her ring. Finally free. That night, in their small house on the edge of the city, Laura hummed while she made dinner. The same songs she used to hum while cleaning floors. James watched her from the doorway, something soft in his eyes. "What?" she asked. "Just memorizing this. In case I wake up and it's all a dream." "It's real." "I know. That's what scares me." She crossed to him, took his face in her hands. "We're real. This is real. And we fought too hard for it to lose it now. Promise me something. Anything. If I ever start becoming my father, if you ever see me slipping, you'll tell me. I promise." "But James, you're not him. You proved that when you walked away." "I walked away for you." "No. You walked away for yourself. I just gave you a reason to want to." He pulled her close. "I love you. I love you too." Outside, the city hummed with life. Dangerous and beautiful and full of possibility. But inside their small house, there was only peace. And two people who'd found each other in the darkness and chosen light. Laura's phone sat on the counter. One new message notification. From a blocked number. Just 2 words. "Nice ring." Laura saw it. Deleted it without reading it to James. Some threats weren't worth the fear. Some battles weren't worth fighting. Not when you'd already won everything that mattered. She took James's hand. "Come on. Dinner's ready." And they sat down together to a life they'd built from ashes. Imperfect. Complicated. And for the first time in both their lives, that was more than enough. Hey there, my wonderful friend. We've reached the end of Laura and James's journey. What did you think? Did their story grab you? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Where are you listening from? And have you ever had to choose between safety and love? Drop your stories below. Until next time, take care of yourself and the people you love.